afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania's capital, for the championship round finals of this year's Harrisburg Open. Today, our telecast will have a different look as we bring back the popular King of the Hill match, which is presented by the Showboat Hotel, Casino, and Bowling Center. Right now, let's meet our King of the Hill participants and the field for today's telecast. Our first King of the Hill participant, number 1, Johnny Petraglia Open winner, Walter Ray Williams, Jr. His opponent earned his King of the Hill berth with a win in the IOF Foresters Open from Clermont, Florida, Norm Duke. Now, the opening match of our championship round features a touring pro after his first title from Munster, Indiana, Eugene McCune. His opponent is a former Player of the Year, a 12-time titleist who qualified 3rd for the championship. Hello again to Norm Duke. The number 2 seed needs to finish 1st or 2nd today, become the 18th millionaire in PBA history from Buffalo, Tom Baker. Qualifying as our tournament leader is this man you already met, going for his 3rd title here, Walter Ray Williams, Jr. Well, Nelson, King of the Hill is back, and it's always been exciting.
You're right, Chris. 1993 was our last King of the Hill match. And if somebody can win all 4 weeks, there would be an $80,000 paycheck awaiting them. Now it's Duke and Walter Ray Williams, Jr.
And it's winner take all. $10,000 for the man that has the highest score in this game on the championship pair. 2 old foes, 2 talented professionals, and 2 of the 5 bowlers that were very loose in warming up. Let's see how that bodes for them now. Extremely well.
Awfully good start by Duke. Obviously, both players loose, coming off victories in the past couple of weeks, and 2 of the top players in the world. Walter Ray, ranked number 1, Duke, number 4.
It's a 10-pin on the right lane. Incidentally, there is standing room only crowd at this bowling establishment named ABC North. You own this?
I was asking you for a loan, partner.
So, both have marked. Walter Ray, we told you about a horseshoe pitching tournament, big one, in West Virginia that he was going to. Well, he won it. 11 wins and no losses. What a pitch this will take.
You're right, Chris. He'll have to get to the left side of the lane, slide the 6 and the 7, but that was just an errant shot. You see Walter trying to get the ball outside the first arrow, and actually pulls it inside the first arrow. And you don't get away with many mistakes in this bowling center, and he's in trouble.
All right, open frame for the king of all of bowling, number 1 in the world, as Norm Duke comes up. Take a commanding lead with a strike here in the 2nd frame. Single pin.
Chris, no doubt, and there's always the fear of the channel when a player plays the outside line. Look at this shot by Duke. It's right over the first arrow, about what we saw Walter Ray do on the left-hand lane. As we watched in practice, the shot is down the 1st or 2nd board. They're going to go cross lane here for the split, but they want to go down there for the strikes.
Incidentally, the professionals cover 96% of the single pin spares. 328 of 340 thus far.
And there's a story to that, Chris. If you miss a single pin spare in PBA competition, you normally lose the match 75, 78% of the time. So open frames are disastrous. We live on strikes, but you've got to fill the frames.
Ooh, a high hit and good results. I did the Charleston off the deck. That footwork placement. Heels off the approach.
Well, something we've seen a lot of in Toronto 2 weeks ago at the IOF Foresters Classic, which was worn by Norm Duke. You see the 6-pin just uncooperative as it flies right around the 10. Easy spare for Walter Ray, common.
All right, Walter Ray Williams Jr. You see that he is trailing by 14. He needs to start striking, and soon. ABC Bowl. Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania, as I'm sure you know. It's by 14 on these lanes.
Well, Chris, as we look at the championship pair, each week the PBA oils them a little bit differently, and obviously this week it's a little more hooked than we've seen. The oil is down 37 feet on these lanes, and I think on the championship pair, I'd say more like 35 feet. The PBA adjusts that for equity on the tour.
There was the shot hanging on the channel by Norm Duke.
And that's really a study in what works in today's modern game. We have tremendously powerful bowling balls. All the players basically use reactive resin bowling balls, and the light hit is really the highest percentage hit. I'd say 30 years ago, hit them solid, as you see Norm Duke taking a re-rack. But today, if you can hit them light with that power, you have a better chance of not getting tapped. Right now, Duke, 24-pin lead, can make a 34 frame 5 King of the Hill match.
Tim going out, leaving the 3-6. Norm qualified by winning the IOF Foresters Championship. That was 2 weeks ago. And Walter Ray winning the Johnny Petraglia.
And you saw a shot drifting high once again on the left-hand lane, 19 and 20, 32-lane bowling center. Duke knows this lane's going to hook a little bit more. Just gets a good break, avoids the split, leaves the 3-6 spare.
And also a reminder that Norm Duke qualified third in the overall championship, so you'll see him later. And the tournament leader is the man that's about to bowl.
A guy whose reputation shows that he's a better player when he's behind in the match. Let's see what happens.
No, third 10 on the right lane.
Almost could see it coming. The ball came down to the break point at about 38 feet down the lane. Walter spreads his hand, hoping that if he gets a strike, watch this. Once again, the 6-pin has nothing to do with the 10. That's just the angle of attack to the pocket.
Next Saturday at 3 Eastern and Pacific, 2 Central on ABC Sports, it's the Greater Detroit Open, where last year Doug Kent won his first PBA title. That's the Pro Bowlers Tour next Saturday on ABC in the Motor City. Only his second strike in 6 frames.
And it's pretty obvious by that camera angle we just saw there that Walter is not taking that acute angle into the pocket on the left-hand lane, and he carries the pins very easily. The right-hand lane, he's playing a little bit more swing out towards the outside edge, has had trouble with the 10-pin.
There you see the top 5 3 or more appearances on King of the Hill. Randy Peterson, undefeated, 3 matches. Been 18 King of the Hill matches. This is the 19th. Ron Williams, incidentally, is 6 victories and 2 losses.
Well, you're looking at a player right here who is 33 years old, and he is the complete package of professional bowling. He's versatile, he has all the shots, and he knows how to win. On the tour today, if you just have one shot, they'll send you home.
All right, so a 2-pin.
See the ball sliding by. Duke making an adjustment. He was out here at first. Now he's coming a little bit more in the inside angle, hoping to have that ball delay the hook. It delays a little more than he wants. Gets away with a simple spare. The 2-pin almost had the 2-4-10. He'll convert this and take a 22-pin lead into the 7th frame.
Okay, as we go to break, let's take a royal trip down memory lane. Our trip down memory lane this week takes us back to the Hill, January 16th, 1993, and the first ever King of the Hill match. Ron Williams captured the crown by defeating Parker Bone III 246 to 210. He would go on to appear in 8 consecutive King of the Hill matches, winning 6 of them. Brought back the King of the Hill match. After an absence, brought back Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Norm Duke. They qualified to be here. Walter Ray, whom you're looking, by winning the Johnny Petraglio. And that cuts Norm Duke's lead to 12. And the game is on, Nelson.
Thank you, Chris. Schenkel with me is the man who will bowl Norm Duke in the neck, actually the first championship match. Eugene, you got pretty lucky to get here to the top championship round.
Yeah, well, I bowled 41 good games. Then I got on pair the last game that was just horrible. I couldn't figure anything out. I go Brooklyn, then I trip a 6. Then I go through, I didn't know what it was, so I just threw it 100 miles down the lane and hit light, chipped a 5 out, and I got one by a pin.
All right, he's been lucky so far. Let's see what happens in the next match.
And now he trails by 2. A pattern, a Walter Ray Williams Jr. pattern. He gets behind, gets stronger at the end. Now here's Norm Duke. He has a spare of shooting in the 8th frame. High hit, leaving a 6-10.
What's interesting, with Duke leading this match by 1 pin, he has missed the pocket 5 times, Walter only once. It just shows you that if you have the luck going with you, especially in a short-term match, 1 game is obviously very short, the breaks are very important.
And of course, with 3 more telecasts here in 1997, that means 3 more Kings of the Hill. So if you could win all 4, you'd get, in addition to the $10,000 with each victory, a $25,000 bonus. So, oh, there's considerable loot.
Could add up to $80,000, not a bad deal. And something to remember. Remember, it's Duke and Walter Ray in this match, but Duke will bowl Eugene McCune in the first championship match, which is the next game. But the outcome of this one is still in question.
Foundation strike for Norm Duke. We are squared up here. Now, 3 in a row, 9th frame. Ooh.
Well, he covered his eyes. It's a little bit ugly for Walter, but it looks like both of the players are sticking a little bit at the foul line. We had some trouble with that yesterday in this bowling center with the high humidity, and you see Walter just double bounce, and he pulls the ball left of target.
Making sure to mark in that frame. All right, coming up next, except on the West Coast, the Memorial Tournament sponsored by Dean Witter. Your 2nd round leader, Scott Hoke, tries to hold off the field.
As we come up in the 10th frame, Walter Ray Williams Jr. trails by 2, has a possible 214. Strike here by Walter Ray Williams Jr. would force Duke to double to win the match and also set up the possibility of a tie. Chris, he's got that extra gear, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. It's that 5th or 6th at Indy or wherever they race.
Walter Ray was somewhat of a reticent manner that we don't always see on his face. He's concentrating on getting at least a good solid count, forcing Duke to perform in the 10th. 213.
Walter Ray can take a breather with his score.
Right now, Walter Ray sits on the bench, 2-13 in hand. Norm Duke must strike on this ball. Absolutely mandatory. Cannot win without a strike and at least an 8-count spare. Here we go. Walter Ray wins. That ball just kind of rolled out on Norm Duke. He feathered it down there in the relay. Two good competitors. Let's face it, Walter did bowl the better of the two games.
That's $10,000 for Walter Ray Williams, Jr. It means next week in Detroit, he will be in the King of the Hill again. Okay, the Showboat King of the Hill match. There is the winner of our return. As this ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
The Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC Sports. Brought to you by McDonald's, home of America's favorite fries. Head and Shoulders, because great hair can have flakes. And Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Pennsylvania, especially Harrisburg. Here at the Harrisburg Open, King of the Hill is finished, 213 to 204. Walter Ray Williams won it. Now we go into the championship with Eugene McCune, number 4, and goes against number 3, Norm Duke. Should be a good match.
Well, it should be, Chris. It's interesting to see what happens to Norm Duke. The downtrodden has a chance to redeem himself a little bit, but let's see how he reacts to losing $10,000 on one ball to Walter Ray. And right now he's going against a very tough young opponent, Eugene McCune.
Okay, there they are, the handshake. Eugene from a real bowling family, Munster, Indiana. His dad, Don, is in the PBA Hall of Fame. Sister Chris is on the Ladies Professional Tour. And he's still looking for that first big win.
An exciting, loquacious type guy, and I have to call him the Rocket Man, Chris. This fella can throw the ball down the lane when necessary, probably as fast as anybody I've seen since our USA team coach, Palmer Falgren. Let's see how he does in his opening match.
A bullet. A bullet and a scalp. What a combination.
Watch the action of the head pin. Hello.
I love it. Now Norm Duke. Just lost to Walter Ray in the King of the Hill. Smooth as could be, but high on the head pin. He's left to 3, 6, and 10.
Duke, once again, is struggling. He missed the pocket 6 times in 11 shots the first game and missed it the first time here. That's over 50% of the balls out of the pocket. And he's a stickler for changing balls, fiddling with his thumb, and I don't see him doing that right now. Once again, he keeps sticking with the same ball, and Duke is a very versatile player. This is interesting.
Okay. McCune with a strike, Duke with a spare. This is our first game between numbers 4 and 3 of the Harrisburg Open Championship. Harrisburg on the lazy, meandering Susquehanna River.
Duke fiddling with his thumb hole and kind of a harbinger of things to come. Last night, Norm Duke only won 2 of his 6 matches with a 144 game in the final 8 games, so he's continuing his struggling today.
No break. 10 pin on the left lane.
Lost indeed is the word for Duke. And what he needs to do, and he knows a lot of things, a lot of tricks. He's trying to finesse the ball in there. Chris, I think he's absolutely just too loose. I mean, you have to step it up one notch when you come on TV, and he's a little too relaxed.
Okay. This is Norm's 50th television appearance. His 4th of 1997. He has a victory, 1 second, and a 4th. Winning in Toronto, and now Eugene McCune, a regional champion 3 times. ball almost took him with it. Nelson?
Thank you, Chris. Walter Ray, kind of an interesting start to a day. Unexpectedly, you came behind as you usually do to win a match.
Well, Norm was getting all the breaks that game. I kept leaving ringing tens. I had the one bad shot early. I left a split. He had a Brooklyn and kept going and breaking down his splits and getting strikes when he did hit the pocket. I was thinking, you know, he's going to get that strike in the 10th frame and beat me, but fortunately I got the break and won the match.
Now, do you have a big edge coming back with a practice game as a title?
I think so. I think the left lane's hooking a fair amount more for me. I've got a good idea how to play the lanes. I'll get some practice shots before the match starts, and I have a good idea how it's going to play.
All right, we'll see what the big guy does in about 45 minutes. Chris, back to you.
And Nelson mentioned earlier that Eugene McCune unleashed rockets. That last one was that 3 in a row. Now was a spare up. Norm Duke. Didn't like them sticking at the line and into the channel, Nelson.
Interesting, Duke sticks at the line, flips it out to the right. And of course, you're playing that extreme outside line. It is precarious, to say the least. But Duke had an incident yesterday, Chris, where he needed a mark to win a game, stuck at a foul line, went over the foul line, and fouled and lost the game by 1 pin to Steve Wilson. And I think he's been conscious of that foul line for the last day and a half. It's affected his timing and confidence.
Good. Glad he came back. 3rd frame. So he'll mark with a spare in that 3rd. Missing with the first shot. So he moves to the left lane. Wonderful guy.
Walter in the interview says this lane's hooking 6 to 7 boards more.
All right, strike for Norm. First one in the 4th frame. We're in Harrisburg, where we'll return.
This is my idea.
North, and it's our first visit televising the pros here, and we appreciate this city. Couldn't trip the 4. Net Mays. Gene had strung 3 here in the opening match of the Harrisburg Open. In our return of the King of the Hill, Walter Ray Williams Jr. defeated Norm Duke 213 to 204 for $10,000. Okay, Bo.
Thank you, Chris. The man who qualified second, Tommy Baker. Tommy usually worked with us at ABC out in the truck. You have any message for your fellow buddies out there doing the telecast?
Well, at the beginning of the week, I told them I didn't want to work this week. I just wanted one message for Bob, John, and Brian out there. I really don't miss you guys, and it's really been a quiet day because I don't have to listen to Bobby all day long.
And good luck to you, Bakes. We'll be watching the next match. Back to you, Chris.
Okay. Another powerhouse strike coming in the 5th frame for Gene McCune. So this match well in hand for McCune at this point as we look at Duke, the whole approach. Fiddling around, just trying to figure out what will work on this championship pair. Leaving the 2 sleeper 8.
Tough spare, and as our producer Carol Letty noted, that Duke has been fiddling around changing bowling balls, but when that doesn't work, you have to change the game of attack. He's got a shot, he can crank it up, he can move outside and throw harder. He must make a gamble and change something besides his ball. Now, Chris, basically, Duke can do it all. There's no doubt. He can throw the big hook, and he can throw the hard rocket shot that McCune is kind of playing, and it seems to work well because it doesn't hook too early on the left-hand lane where everybody has seemed to struggle. McCune hit that lane, and Duke can feather it down on the right-hand lane. He's going to have to draw on all his match game skills to get back into this contest.
The 1993 Masters champion, 1994 Tournament of Champions winner.
You know what? He must have been listening to us. If you could see the difference in the speed of the approach, that's where you get your power. He sped up his approach. Watch this, much quicker. Gets a real strong pivot. And see the big snapping hook from deep inside. That's the type of shot that may work for Duke. You might as well try something.
There you see the money leaders in 1997. Parker Bone at the top, Weber second, Walter Ray third, and Norm Duke with 80,320. All right.
Right here, a little deceleration. You try to aim the ball, and this is what happens. The ball hooks too quickly. As we saw in our graph, there's 35 feet of oil this week. You got to keep the speed up.
Eugene has earned 29,255 this year.
Well, Gene falls in the category, I think, Chris, of Doug Kent. And I've said Doug Kent is probably one of the great untapped talents out here who could be a superstar. Gene could do the same thing. He has all the shots. He has the experience. He just needs the maturation to make himself a top player. As you see him putting a piece of black tape in the back of the thumb hole. Players will put, say, white tape, which has a little bit more adhesiveness to it. If you're dropping the ball a lot, if you just want to tighten it up and get out of it smooth, use the black tape. It's a little smoother. Let's see how it works. He leads by 31 pins, 7th frame.
McCune is in the lead by 31 pins against Norm Duke. More of the match after this. Ray Williams Jr. Okay, now Norm Duke. That's the man that Walter Ray defeated in our Return of the King of the Hill. 213 to 204. That's more like it. Norm Duke. 108 to the 6th for the strike up. McCune 139 to the 6th for the strike up.
Duke reaches into his bag of tricks. He threw a cranker shot on the left-hand lane. He's changed to a ball that's about 3 years old that he used earlier in the week. I had the luxury of bowling on the same squad with him this week. He was an early leader. This is a little bit older type reactive resin ball. Let's see if it works on both lanes.
7-pin on the left lane. Speaking of balls, Pete Weber, let's see, used quite a few balls, and then one game decided to use an old scratchy up one and bowled to 300 here.
Well, the lane, Chris, the lanes were very dry, and players were looking for ways to control the ball, and so that's the reason that happened.
Okay.
Just to clarify a rule very quickly, the players can carry as many balls as they want on the tour, but they're only allowed 8 bowling balls in the building. And normally if you get down to your 8th ball, you're out of the tournament anyway. Now McCune with a golden opportunity to open up a huge lead.
And he took advantage of it. Oh, he looks like a real champion.
Well, as you said earlier, his daddy's a real champion. Don McCune won in 1 year 7 PBA titles, was the Player of the Year in 1973. And Eugene made a, not a unique change, but a change that he likes and some of the other players like on today's light pins, powerful balls. He's dropped to a 15-pound bowling ball, and he feels like he gets more control, less trouble with his hand, and better carry on the solid hits. Right now, he can open up a 51-pin lead.
But left to 2. Satisfied with that.
Well, the situation for Eugene, as you see him break up the 2-8, and he's quickly up with another ball to shoot this spare, he wastes no time, is that he needs to mark out for 228. That would shut out Duke.
Tonight on ABC, no summer reruns here. Nope. It's an all-new night of great new episodes, starting with Lawson Clark, then Leaving L.A., and then Edward James Olmos and Maria Conchita Alonso star in the all-new Gun. 3 hours, all new, all tonight, all on ABC.
Sometimes you never see the personable side of some of these players. They're in such a serious environment, and right now Duke is just out of this match and cracks a little joke with the crowd as he is really struggling. In fact, this match is all over, even by pencil. If Duke strikes out, he has 194. Eugene McCune already has 198 in the bag. Obviously happy with his first game performance. He'll go up against Tommy Baker in the semifinal. Duke just going to have a little fun. What a great player.
Remember, 2 weeks ago, he won in Toronto, the Independent Order of Foresters. Now he's really responding.
Well, it was tears then as he banked about $80,000 that day, and today he's going to go home with another nice paycheck. Obviously, it wasn't his day. He had struggled yesterday and struggled on a championship pair today.
And Karen and Brandon, his wife, his son, will understand. All 5 feet 5 of them. Just a delightful young man.
Eugene, you should be satisfied with your performance so far and really have the type of game that can hit this pair.
Looky here.
We're having a little fun here. Duke's going to throw a little trick shot. Let's stay with this one. Not the answer, but pretty good.
All right.
And to be honest, if you're really for the purists, that's illegal to throw the ball that way because your fingers are not in the holes.
Okay. Duke registering a 180. We'll have McCune's later. As the tip of the week is next, where, according to Danny Wiseman, your legs can give you the best foundation for a solid game.
Danny Wiseman, PBA champion, on his way to another victory. Danny, you've been very successful in the championship round, especially on television, yet you're not a big, powerful guy. What's your secret?
Well, I believe, though, the most important part of bowling nowadays is your legs, and you have to really incorporate them into your shot, especially for the ladies and the smaller men out there. Now, right here, the pivot step is staying in contact with the approach long, so I can drive my hand through the shot.
All right, Danny, you have the pivot step in contact, but how do you keep it there so solid to let you push through into your slide step?
Well, one of the key ingredients is to have an all-rubber sole, which is very soft and very durable, and it enables the foot to stay in contact with the approach longer.
All right, great tip from Danny Wiseman. Use a soft rubber sole on your pivot step, not your slide step. You'll get more power, use your legs, and have better success.
Eugene McCune defeated Norm Duke 222 to 172, so now meets the veteran Tom Baker. There is Jack Bauer. What a great chairman. Welcome to everybody here today.
Hey, Chris, we looked through 5 through 24. Some interesting highlights. David Ozio got the last check. Anthony Lombardo, the young player on the tour, I think is the early leader in the Rookie of the Year award. As we go through some of the other players that finished in the 5 through 24, Doug Kent just missed by 1 pin over 42 games. Doug couldn't have found 1 pin, and that was Eugene McCune's spot. Steve Wilson, a good week. My teammate in St. Louis, Pete Weber. The original king, Ron Williams, 8 appearances in the championship round, King of the Hill. Roger Bowker, the new Bowker fan club sweatshirts are out. Mike Edwards, just introduced into inducted into the Native American Hall of Fame. Congratulations. A class act, Kelly Kaufman. Dennis Jakes qualified for the top 24 by 1 pin, a tight week.
Okay, next week we're in Detroit, in Taylor, Michigan, actually, for the Greater Detroit Open. That's always a good event with great fans. And then in 2 weeks, Wichita in Kansas. Both starting times at 3 Eastern. Match 2 now in the Harrisburg Championship coming up, McCune and Tom Baker. Yes, we too want to congratulate Mike Edwards on his induction. And also, Roger Bowker T-shirts are out, did you say?
I have my T-shirt. He has some new sweatshirts out. Man, oh man, Chris, we'll get you one. They are something. When you go in the gym, lift weights, everybody asks you about Roger Bowker when you have his sweatshirt on.
Do I have to lift weights to get one?
Well, we'll figure out something. All right, now we look at the bakes.
All right. 42-year-old Tom Baker, ranked 26th. 8 championships in 21 years. During match play, he defeated Eugene McCune, lost to Walter Ray and Norm Duke. Now here's Gene after the big 222.
Eugene, the solid 10. A man after your own heart, Chris. He's a Chicago Bull and an Indiana Hoosier fan. As you're going to see Eugene just rock it right across here. Takes all the hook out of it, straight across with the spare.
Philadelphia Flyer fans in this area with that Stanley Cup coming up against the exciting Red Wings, where we'll be next week with our bowling telecast, Detroit. Just sweeps them off the back with that powerful shot. Eugene McCune of Munster, Indiana. That's up towards Chicago. Now Tom Baker from Buffalo. Been a great representative for professional bowling for a long time. And taking a lead is Baker, and we go to Bo Burton.
Well, one of the great players in my book, Norm Duke, he had 2 whacks at him today and couldn't get either one of them on that championship pair. Let's talk about some of the adjustments you went through, and did you figure anything out?
Yeah, I figured out that I'm better off over here than I am over there. You know, you have some of those days where just lost from the get-go, and you know that the people that you're bowling are comfortable. And I'm just lucky I made all those spares.
Well, you're a class act. You'll be back next week in Detroit, and good luck in the tournament.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Tom Baker now has strung 3. This is the semifinal match. The winner to meet Walter Ray Williams Jr. for the title. McCune, if you just joined us, defeated Norm Duke. Now he's marked with a spare and a strike, and now shooting in the 3rd. He can cut the lead to 10. Matching strengths now.
This is the most mature performance I've seen Eugene McCune have. I've known him as a young man. He's still young, 28 years old, but he's never seemed to put the concentration to that natural talent. And he seems so serious out there, and I like to see him continue to perform that way. He's very entertaining, a crowd favorite, but he has so much potential. Don't let it slide by. Here he goes. He can even the match.
What a shot. Eugene McCune against Tom Baker. We'll be back. Harrisburg is another River City stout for the Pennsylvania, the heart of it in Harrisburg. Standing room only crowd at the 6th annual Harrisburg Open as Tom Baker has 3 in a row, now shooting in the 4th frame of this semifinal game. His opponent is Eugene McCune.
Ho, 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 ho.
He is wired for sound, as you heard. He left a 6-pin.
See 6 rounds, first 3 rounds qualifying 18 games, then add that to the other 24 games, and you end up with 42 games. You see Bake with a routine spare.
A wry smile. One of fright, too, because it was close.
Baker playing about the same type of line as Eugene McCune. They're going to actually try to swing the ball from somewhere in this area out to the edge, not all the way to the edge. It either hangs or flips off there. And Baker, a very classic type player, he'll stand about there in the center, slide about in this area, and a slight loft, and watch the spin he gets on the ball, which helps it slide through the front part of the area.
Now it's a 4 on the left line.
Chris, we remember Tommy Baker as being one of the top 5 players in the 80s.
Definitely.
And, no doubt, along with Anthony, Roth, Holman, the names like that, then had wrist problems, a major operation that put him down for a couple years, and he's really been bowling well the last 2 years.
Good attitude. He's a cool customer. This year his best was 7th at the Columbia 300, and his last win was the AC Delco in 1996.
And that was a big one. Huge prize money. He led the tournament and just whacked everybody. Well, another 10-pin. We've seen a number of those in the right-hand lane, and my guesstimate, Chris, and that ball speed is over 20 miles an hour. I say closer to 21. And I'm going to say let's look at about 23 or 24 on this one. He allows no hook at all. Ooh. However, you have to be accurate as he just slings the ball. Actually slides off his hand, slings it into the right-hand channel. And for the first time today, Eugene McCune is behind. Look at this ball slide off his hand. See the follow-through go over towards his left hip, I'm sorry. And that's an indication the ball sliding off his hand on the bottom of the swing. You try to grab hold of it, and you follow through to the left. If he had followed through to the right, it would have been an indication that it was hanging on his hand. Let's see if he can come back. Well, Eugene McCune, gather your thoughts. This is the reason we haven't seen Eugene in the winner's circle before. He has all that talent, and all of a sudden it just slips off. All of a sudden. He should have taken a little more time on the 10-pin. I would have even taken a little more time, even if I went past the 25-second clock, just to get my concentration back. Now, it's mandatory he makes this spare. Sometimes this is easier than a single pin, though.
And a 10-pin. So that's 116 through the 6th. And instead of on top, is trailing by 22. Tomorrow night on ABC starts with a brand new episode of Second Noah, followed by America's Funniest Home Videos, then the 2-hour world premiere movie. I'll tell you about it. 10-pin for Tom Baker. That 2-hour world premiere movie that kicks off a great new daytime drama. Watch what happens in Port Charles. That's tomorrow night on ABC, Port Charles.
I saw the previews of that show. It really looks great, Chris. You know, Chris, that Port Charles is going to be a soap opera after its premiere, as you see right now. Eugene McCune making an adjustment to that thumb hole. You have to have the good feel, digging those fingers into the finger grips, get the solid feel on the thumb. He can get right back in this match.
Get up, get up.
Timely run for Tom Baker in the 7th frame. Baker in the lead by 21 pins, the semifinal game. What form. Looks just like Nelson Burton Jr. The trophy for the winner of the Harrisburg Open. This is the semifinal game. The tournament leader is waiting to meet the winner of this game. Tournament leader being #1 in the world, Walter Ray Williams. Here's Eugene McCune. That came after 2 open frames, a strike in the 7th for Eugene.
Commercial did him a little break there. I needed that 1-minute break, and let's see if he can get right back in the match. At one time, he was tied through 4 frames. If he strikes here in the 8th, he'll be in arrears by just 11 pins, and the game will be on.
didn't get the 10.
Wow. He sawed that 5-pin out, that head pin, and he had half the building shooting over at the 10 and does not get it. Disappointment. Look at where that 10-pin went. That 10-pin's halfway up the lane. You talk about putting some zip on the ball. That's how you make the 7-10 split. Eugene threw that ball, hit the 10-pin dead square on, and it bounced halfway up. It's in the left-hand channel over there in 19. That is the 10-pin that Eugene just knocked out there in the 8th frame. They'll roll a ball down there to clear it out, re-rack the machine, and Baker will come up.
Well, good action here at the ABC North Bowl. A little of everything today, Nelson.
You bet, especially with the bakes out there. Okay, there's the 10-pin being hit by, actually double kissed by the ball of Eugene McCune, flies out of the lane. No matter how hard you hit it, as long as it goes down, it counts. Bakes up in the 8th, leads by 21, can make it 31 and a rout if he can strike here.
An 8.
Well, we see two different styles as you see Bake with the light wall shots, and we see two different personalities, the taciturn personality of the Bakes and the outgoing personality of McCune. Who will be the winner?
Next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern on ABC's Wide World of Sports, it's the 3rd and final race in the Visa Triple Crown Challenge. 129th running of the Belmont Stakes. That's right. Silver Charm will try to become the first Triple Crown winner since 1978. Next Saturday on ABC, the 1.5-mile Belmont Stakes. Run for the Carnations, White Carnations.
Here's a man that owned 3 racehorses at once, Tommy Baker.
Get up.
A 10.
And doing what he has to do to stay in the match and keep it close. Right now, Tommy Baker, with his second 10-pin and the 12th, I believe we've seen of the day, is going at a 2:16 pace, 20-pin lead. McCune has a possible 2:16. Every match close, nobody been able to run away because the carry has been tough. And there's 2 reasons for the 10-pin, Chris, that I can see from this point. Is number one, we have synthetic lanes, and the lanes are only oiled 35 feet. That gives the players 25 feet of free run with these powerful balls to the pocket. Secondly, they're throwing so hard, they're driving the pins over the top of each other, and that doesn't optimize your carry.
A 6-pin on the right lane, high hit.
Good all-around athlete, basketball player in high school, baseball pitcher, actually pitched a no-hitter in a high school game. Right now, he needs to throw some strikes, as in baseball, to stay in this match. Possible 205 for Eugene McCune. With 2 strikes, he'll force Baker to mark.
Really had some ups and downs in this match today, Eugene McCune.
Speed and power. He needs 1 more strike to stay in the match. We've seen a lot of open frames in the 10th frame to change a match around. If McCune can get a strike, he'll force the Bakes to mark.
Thanks to the rack, thanks to Lane. And
as the young players say, lock and load, hit the pocket, nothing but pin shrapnel left on the deck. That's about as much as you can do to the pins.
we might get him a role in the soap opera.
He's an entertaining young man. We'll see a lot of him, but this match is not over.
Look at that. Love it, though, when that rack, they disappear together.
Well, he's still in the match. Who will be the player to roll Walter Ray Williams for the Harrisburg Open title is be determined on this ball. And Baker steps off. The simple reason is the rack on the left-hand lane did not reset. He doesn't want it to come down in the middle of his approach. So the 25-second clock, which is mandatory for players to throw a ball in that time, does not begin to tick until the rack is set. Now he's set, needs a mark to win the match.
McCune with the 205.
And $1 million. He goes over $1 million with this shot. He's a millionaire.
18th to earn that much money on the lanes, and believe me, to earn $1 million, that is hard duty, hard earned.
Well, it's going to get even more difficult. Walter Ray Williams Jr. will be his opponent in the championship match coming up.
Okay, this ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. And in Harrisburg, a recap of what's happened up to now. Walter Ray Williams Jr. defeating Norm Duke 222 to 172 and the King of the Hill. Then in match 1, McCune defeating Norm 222 to 172. Then in stepped Tom Baker, who moved up to a notch with his victory over McCune 215 to 205. And in our booth, none other than Norm Duke.
Norman, quick question. Who do you like in this last match? It's obviously the Bakes against Walter Ray.
Well, the sentimental favorite here for me is Tommy. Everybody out here would like to see him continue winning. But my vested interest is Walter Ray. If he was to win, I get to come back next week. So go Walter Ray.
Well, we'll watch the match with you. And Chris, you have some interesting news for the bowling world.
Yeah, we should point out that Norm is referring to the King of the Hill next week. If Walter wins the Harrisburg Open, these two guys go at it again for the $10,000 winner take all. But yes, Ebonite International, which has long been a leader for decades in the bowling industry, has reached an agreement with the PBA to sponsor 4 events on the fall tour. And the 4 Ebonite challenges will be televised live on ESPN. That's live on Thursday nights beginning in October, and we expect to sit in our easy chair and watch you, young man.
Good, I'd like to be there.
Okay, it's a deal.
All right, the championship match coming up. It'll be Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Tommy Baker.
All right, thanks, Norm Duke. Walter Ray Williams in this match is trying to again defend a title. He is the defending champion here.
An interesting note, the man who finishes first, and that will be Walter Ray in this match, in championship matches, wins about 70% of the time. So Baker is only a 3 to 10 odds to win this match.
Okay, and while we contemplate that split, which thoroughbred do you like in next week's Belmont Stakes here on ABC?
Well, I could ask him that, but right now the odds for him are a lot different. You know, Silver Charm next week, Chris, but I'll take the field against Silver Charm. I got a feeling he's going to have a tough go without Captain Bodgett in there to pace him.
All right. So Tom Baker, it was an unwanted beginning with an open frame, count of 9. Now Walter Ray. High hit.
Get it, come on. Right.
Walter in his match, the King of the Hill match, left 3 10-pins on this right-hand lane, and I can see he's trying to goose it a little bit more to make it flip up and carry out the 10. Right now he's left the 3, 6, 9, 10. Got to get the ball in this area, and the best way to play it is a little bitty hook in from left to right, because you got to carry that back pin.
He did it. Spare. for Walter Ray Williams in the first frame. Tournament leader today. He led 4 of the 6 rounds during match play. He had a match play record of 17 wins and 7 losses. 3-time PBA Player of the Year.
Wow. That was lined up.
I bet he could have said more, huh?
Walter Ray needs to get over to the 4-7-10, slide the 4 over into the 10. Tough shot.
So now each pro with an open frame. Baker's coming in the first, Walter's in the second. This is the championship match. Tom Baker now up. He lost to Walter Ray in match play. Powerful ball. Here's Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Eugene McCune, you looked great. It looked like you were the guy to beat, and then all of a sudden, the errant spare shot.
Yeah, well, I needed tape in the spare ball, but I was making them anyway, so I just left it go. Should have put tape in it. And then I saw a guy on my left walk around, spin around. Instead of stopping like I should have, I was stupid and went up there and threw it in the gutter.
That's the type of experience that's going to make you a winner. Eugene McCune, you will win shortly. Good luck, pal.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Chris. Championship match.
Right. Leaving the 7-pin. Going into that frame, he had a 4-pin lead, which he still holds. He'll go cross lane now on the left lane for this single pin. Very nice.
Well, Walter Ray has all the shots, and he could probably take a note from what Eugene McCune said. Speed the ball up. You got to throw hard in this championship here to be successful.
Wow. Oh, boy.
I think he went over and picked up a new ball.
Did?
Mm-hmm.
Set down the ball with the yellow stripe and picked up one that's full urethane. The other is full reactive resin instead of the half and half, and neither one of them seems to work very well for him today.
So up to now, he's used 3 balls.
Okay. Well, he can use 8 of them, Chris.
Right.
Little sidebar note what we got it here. We haven't seen any lefties, and no left-handers cashed in the tournament this week. That's a rarity on the PBA Tour. And secondly, following up on on Norm Duke's fill shot, as you see Walter Ray, you have to have your fingers in the hole of a bowling ball. If you saw that trick shot, in order to make an illegal delivery.
Okay. Strike in the 4th frame for Walter Ray. This is the title game. It'll continue when we come back.
The Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Brute. Put it on and you're ready to play. Brute, it's all part of the game. Bud Light, if you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And prescription strength Lotrimin AF for athlete's foot. It's the killer cure.
Have you ever seen the rolling hills, the countryside surrounding the capital city of Harrisburg? I hope you visit Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful state, especially springtime. Weather's a little unsettled, but inside it's full of cheering people. And here's Baker in the lead by 4. 4-7.
Well, we see the championship pair breaking down. What I mean by that, the oil dissipating somewhat from the heat, evaporation, some of it being carried down the lane, and the players are all drifting high. We're not seeing any light hits by design. They have to make an adjustment with 6 frames to go. You either got to speed up the shot or move a little bit farther inside and allow for the hook.
Okay.
And the lanes have been tougher the last 2 days, Chris. The difference between the field's score on Wednesday night, on Thursday night, and Friday night was 1,500 pins lower on Friday. So the lanes got tougher as the tournament went on.
There's a welcome break for Tom Baker.
4-10, standing temporarily, gets a good break on the 10.
Earlier we were talking about the cost of a rack of pins. First, though, let's look at this. Average leaders, Walter Ray second.
222 and win all the money today, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Those averages were established earlier in the year. The lanes have been much tougher lately.
Back to my question about the cost of a rack of pins.
Well, there's actually, for us, there's 21 pins in a rack. It takes 10 that are setting down, 10 in the deck, and we have an extra one in so we don't have a delay in the championship round. But 10 pins today, brand new, cost approximately $120.
Okay. There's Paige Pennington, Walter Ray's wife, who travels around in their Teton trailer pulled by a Freight-Line truck. They love it.
500 cubic inches under the hood.
Come on, baby. Come on. What I wanted to see. God bless.
Well, Walter Ray is pulling a Norm Duke. He's going inside, outside, hook ball, straight ball, different change. As you see, one guy who knows how to make the 710, a guy who was in the top 24 this week. And Eugene McCune showed you how to make it by bouncing one out. Let's see if Walter can do it.
Lay drops to trailing of 14 pins. Spare for Baker, shooting in the 6th frame of the title game.
Get up.
2-8 in.
Both players confused, Chris, and I bowled in the tournament and had that same confusion myself. You make a slight move left to avoid going high, and all of a sudden the ball skates almost all the way to the back end. It's almost too tough to adjust for. There comes to a point where a player cannot actually make a cerebral and physical move to adjust to the strike line. This is just a little bit out of hand tough.
Okay, that's the second open frame for Tom Baker. Walter Ray has 2. Next Saturday at 3 Eastern and Pacific, 2 Central on ABC Sports, it's the Greater Detroit Open, where last year Doug Kent won his first PBA title. Pro Bowlers Tour next Saturday, right here on ABC.
Adeline DiBiase, our hostess there.
Good comeback by Tom. Walter Ray, it's his 96th appearance on television. And in this all-even match, get a 3-6.
Well, the players can't adjust if they don't know what to do. I mean, these guys have all the shots, and when they have that whimsical look on their face saying, what should I do? Obviously, there's something you can do, but there's nothing that indicates exactly what to do. You're going to see this kind of result. It's a little bit different than a golf hole, which we're going to watch a little bit of the Jack Nicklaus Memorial later on, Chris, but you know, you can see the golf hole. I mean, you're a pretty good golfer. If you got 150 yards, the wind's blowing, there's water, whatever, you kind of know the shot. Here, these guys are guessing when it gets this tough. Match up for grabs. All even, 3 frames left.
Whew.
3-6-10.
You don't get it out quite enough. It's just dead hooks. Get out too far, it doesn't even think about hooking.
Well, I can't understand him, and I'm sure the pins don't.
Well, he's talking. Listen, I'd be talking to myself too.
18,000 bucks at stake.
Chris's lanes are prepared for the action.
You're right, Chris. Obviously, it's somewhat equal for both players, although they're guessing a little bit. Baker, with that determined look on his face, he wants the title. Walter Ray gets a lot of shots at him. Baker, 42 years old, trying to maximize it.
And that puts him out for a 13-10 lead. And that was a strike in the 8th frame.
Biggest shot the Bake's thrown in 2 years. When he took the AC Delco Classic, he just ran over everybody. Had a huge final game in the 270s, no contest. Right now, he's fighting for his life, fighting for his 9th title. A strike right here would put him in the driver's seat.
Carried.
So it's beginning to look like next week our first match will feature Walter Ray Williams and Tom Baker in the King of the Hill.
Well, Walters has a little something to say about it. As you see,
Sure.
the normal, calm Tom Baker. Oh, I got money written on that shot. He has put the onus on Walter Ray. Walter Ray has a possible 189 if he strikes out. That has just gone to 178. You can just about get the crown ready for Tommy Baker. Walter Ray Williams Jr., if he spares and strikes out 178, all that Tommy Baker has to do is show up.
Remember, Walter Ray won the return of a King of the Hill match against Norm Duke.
If Walter doesn't strike on this ball, Chris, Bake's got the match locked. He doesn't have to do a doggone thing. Just throw it down the middle. Well, Walter ends up with his 29th second place finish. Wow. He cannot win this match. 167 is the best he can do. For Tommy Baker, it's a lock.
Imagine that greatness, 23 titles in 29 seconds. Heavens. He won 19-5 today.
Baker needs 5 pins on the first ball. This one, it'll be just right down. No chance of going in the channel. Hello, champ.
All right. Last win in 1996 at the AC Delco Classic. Buffalo's Tom Baker over Walter Ray Williams Jr. The champion, Tom Baker, 18. Walter Ray, 9,500 plus the 10,000 in winning the King of the Hill match. So he and Tom will meet 1 week from today in Taylor, Michigan in the Greater Detroit Open. Right now, down on the lanes, you see the King of the Hill today, Walter Ray Williams Jr. And on the right, the Harrisburg champion. Let's give them both a big round of applause. As Gary Bauer, president of the ABC North Lanes, on the right, and Earl Berger, general manager of ABC North Lanes, have the checks, and there is one trophy, and that is for the Buffalo Kid, Tom Baker.
Yes.
You got it? Whoa! For him, Bo, because so we look forward, as I mentioned a moment ago, that they will meet 1 week from today in Detroit. Tom Baker from Buffalo, Walter Ray Williams Jr. from Stockton, California, in that Showboat Hotel and Casino King of the Hill. The final score today, 200 to 166. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, the Memorial Tournament, sponsored by Dean Witter. Stay tuned.